You recently talked about some of your personal cattle problems too in the newsletter, kind of touching on that uh, 232 price. You mentioned that you ran projections on cattle that you recently sold at $232 and that haven't shipped yet, but they don't work with those projections. Can you walk through that a little bit?
Well, I'm glad you clarified which one of my problems I was talking about, because sometimes I talk about all of them, and there's a lot. Yeah, long story short is I bought some cattle back in July. At that time, I believe I had a projected to break it like 220 to 225, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I sold it for 232. Long story short, cost of gain ended up a little higher than I thought. Interest is a big reason. You could project what your interest, what your yardage, and what your cost of gain is going to be, but depending on how those cattle perform, that's a big deal. Inevitably, when you project them at 225 break even and they don't work at 232, that's a problem. Um, as we come into, February, March, and April, it's the first time we will be selling cattle that have this high of break evens projected. When we were buying them August, September, October on that big run up, early last fall, there was a lot of people betting on the come, 240, 250, 260 break evens when they were buying those yearlings. Those cattle are going to be hitting the market here pretty soon. So I'm not going to be alone. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to find out that if this market doesn't rally, they're gonna have some conversations with their lenders, unless they put on some really good hedges at the high back in October.
hmm So the old ways would suggest to put more pounds on them, but that doesn't necessarily work here, right?
That's a great point because oh, what did I see? We've got steer carcasses knocking on 1,000 pounds on national average, and you've got heifers, well over 900. Both are all-time record high weights for these cattle. So we're putting those extra pounds on right now, and we're doing that in our current, call it a stable market. It's it, you know, it. We're not going into new highs, but we're doing that in a stable market, plain and simple. Historically, the cattle feeder puts a lot more weight on cattle when they don't work in a bear market because they use the extra weight to try and dollar their way out of a loss. So, what are cattle going to look like? What are they going to weigh, when this market finally rolls over and starts trending lower? Our guys, instead of selling 1,600 pound steers, are they going to have to move to 17, 18? If they're selling 1,700 pounders now, are they going to have to go to 2,000 to make a steer work? Inevitably, like I mentioned earlier, the extra weight is typically considered bearish to the market because you're adding more pounds of production without the extra headspace and you're backing cattle up.
Got it. So yeah, the traditional playbook of add more weight to dollar up doesn't really work when we're already at record weights then.
It's scary. It's absolutely scary. Yeah. If We need this market to bounce to new highs to make some of these cattle work and to keep our weights where they're at, maybe a touch lower. Got some winter weather coming in, so typically that can calm the weights down, calm the gains down, maybe shrink them, and you'll see the weights drop a little bit. But um, yeah, that's the environment right now.